Good morning, dear students. This is your teacher Neelam Elawat. And dear students, yesterday we had started with the chapter 15, that is our environment. And I hope you've understood the term environment. Right, everyone? And we have discussed about the various living components of the ecosystem. Can anybody tell me the various components, the various organisms of an ecosystem? Yes. Very good. Right. So the various organisms that are present in the ecosystem are your producers, consumers, and in the consumers category we can classify them as the primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, parasites and decomposers. So I hope everybody has learned that part of the chapter. Now today we will be going to the next part. So this is a lecture number 2 of the chapter of environment, and today we will be talking about the food chain. So what basically is a food chain? So dear students, food chain, okay, food chain means it is a process of eating and being eaten. Let's take a very simple example, okay. Suppose there are plants. So the plants, they are eaten by the cow, okay, and the cow is eaten by the tiger, okay. So cow is eating the plants and cow is being eaten by the tiger. So this is your food chain. So food chain simply means the process of eating and being eaten. Cow जो है वो खुद भी खाना खाती है और खुद किसी का खाना बन जाती है, right? So in this the three organisms, the plants, cow and tiger, they are interlinked with each other. They are forming a sequence, okay? And in this particular sequence, one organism eats the other organism, and the same is eaten by the other organism, right? So this is your food chain. Let's look at the other food chains also. See, there are grasses, okay. There are grasses are present. The grasses are eaten by the grasshopper. Then grasshoppers are being eaten by your bluebird. Then bluebird is eaten by the snake. Snake is eaten by the owl, okay. And when this owl is dead, when this owl dies, then the decomposers, they decompose it. So this constitutes your another food chain, that is grass, grasshopper, bluebird, snake and owl. This is your another food chain. Now here there are 3 members in the food chain. And here how many? There are 5 members in a food chain. Okay, dear students, how many members are there? 5 members in a food chain. Okay, dear students? 5 members. Now this particular members, the 3 members, plant, cow and tiger, so they are considered as trophic levels. Each step in the food chain is called a trophic level. Okay, dear students? So here there are 3 trophic levels, here there are 5 trophic levels. So a food chain basically is composed of producers, consumers and decomposers, okay. In a food chain there are producers, consumers and decomposers, and each step in the food chain is called the trophic level, okay. Each step in the food chain is called the trophic level. Like as we have done the example, you have plants eaten by the cows, cow is eaten by the tiger. So there are 3 steps in this food chain. So there are 3 trophic levels. This is your trophic level 1. Okay, this is your trophic level number 1. This is 2. This is 3. So the various steps in the food chain are trophic levels. Usually a food chain consists of 4 to 5 trophic levels. ज़्यादातर food chains में 4 से 5 trophic levels होते हैं, right? And how many trophic levels in this example? There are 3 trophic levels in this example. Okay. And here there are 5 trophic levels in this example. So trophic levels means the steps of the food chain. Okay everyone? The steps in the food chain. The more is the number of trophic levels, the lesser will be the energy available to the last trophic level. ठीक है? जितने ज़्यादा ट्रॉफिक लेवल्स होंगे उतनी कम एनर्जी मिलेगी लास्ट मेंबर को. ठीक है? प्लांट्स को कौन खाता है? काउस. सो काउस का फूड कौन है? प्लांट्स. सो प्लांट्स विल गिव एनर्जी टू काउस एंड काउ विल गिव एनर्जी टू द टाइगर. So if there are more number of food chains, then the last member of the food chain will get less energy. जितनी ज़्यादा members होंगे किसी food chain में उतनी last member को energy कम मिलेगी. Okay everyone? Now let's look up at the 3 examples of food chain. Let's see how many of you can identify. Let's look at the first one. What are these called? Trees. So first is trees. Okay, or green plants. Let's take up green plants. Right? Let's take up plants. Simply we'll take plants. So plants. Plants are eaten by the deer. And deer is eaten by the tiger. Okay, this is your first food chain. Okay, dear students, this is your first food chain. And generally you will find that this food chain is present in the forest. Okay, this food chain is present in the forest. So we can call it as forest food chain. Okay, if you are asked to write an example of a forest food chain, you can write plant, deer and the tiger. Okay, you can write the plants, deer and the tiger. Let's look at the second one, that is your example number B. So you have grasses, grass eaten by the grasshopper, and the grasshopper is eaten by the frog, frog is eaten by the snake, and snake is eaten by the vulture. Okay, so how many members in this food chain? There are 5 members in the food chain. Okay, dear students, how many members? The 5 members in this food chain. And how many members in the first food chain? Yes, there are 3 members in this food chain. So there are 3 trophic levels here and there are 5 trophic levels here. Let's write it down. So you have 3 trophic levels. And here you have 5 trophic levels. And in this case, the vulture is the last member. Okay, dear students, the vulture is the last member. So vulture will get the least energy. Vulture को सबसे कम energy मिलेगी. And this food chain is also called as the grassland food chain. What do we call it as? Grassland food chain. The food chain which is found in the grassland. Okay. Now let's come to the next one. Let's come to the next one. That is your C part. Right? Isn't it? Yes. So these are phytoplanktons. Phytoplanktons. Okay, there are crabs. Crabs are eaten by the fish. Fish is eaten by the swan. So how many members in this food chain? 5 members. So how many trophic levels? 5 trophic levels. And generally you will find that this kind of food chain is present in the pond. Okay. So this is also called as pond food chain. Okay, or you can say aquatic food chain. पॉन्ड जो है आप इसको पॉन्ड फूड चेन भी बोल सकते हैं, आप इसको एक्वाटिक फूड चेन भी कह सकते हैं. ओके, सो वी कैन हैव डिफरेंट फूड चेन्स ऑपरेटिंग इन डिफरेंट एरियाज, in forest, in grassland and in the aquatic system. Now for these food chains, they can be represented by drawing certain pyramids where different levels are occupied by different diagrams. Let's understand, जो आपके food chains है, इन फूड चेन्स को हम पिरामिड लेवल की फॉर्म में भी इंडिकेट कर सकते हैं. लेट्स लुक एट दिस लाइक दिस. So at the base you will have producers, then you will have primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. Let's understand this. Okay, just now we have done an example. Let's understand this. We had phytoplanktons. अभी हमने एक्वाटिक इकोसिस्टम में किया था फाइटोप्लैंक्टन. फाइटोप्लैंक्टन्स को कौन खाता है? क्रैब. Crab is eaten by the fish and fish is being eaten by the swan. Okay, this is an example of food chain. So phytoplanktons, they are producers. Okay, phytoplanktons, they are producers. Crab is your primary consumer. Fish is your secondary consumer. And swan is your tertiary consumer. Okay, everyone? So phytoplanktons, crab, fish and swan. This is your trophic level 1, trophic level 2, trophic level 3 and trophic level 4. So there are 4 members in this food chain. Okay, there are 4 members in this food chain, and these food chains, they can be represented in the form of pyramids. Okay, that is, at the bottom you will have the producers, then you will have the primary consumer, then you will have the secondary consumer, and then you will have the tertiary consumer. Right? Primary consumer means the one who eat plants. Secondary consumer means the one who eat meat. So हम primary consumers को कहते हैं herbivores. Okay, we have done in the last lecture. Primary consumers are called herbivores. Secondary consumers are called carnivores. And your tertiary consumers, they are called omnivores. Clear, everyone? Now terrestrial food chain, we've just a few minutes before we have done the example. Green plants, they're eaten by the deer, then by the lion. This is one example. Grass eaten by grasshopper, frog, snake, hawk. Aquatic food chain, aquatic plants, zooplanktons. This is zooplanktons. This is not a plankton. This is zooplanktons. Small fish, large fish. Okay. Now generally, as I told you, the greater the number of individuals at the lower trophic level, the greatest number is that of producers. ठीक है. आप देखेंगे कि जो फाइटोप्लैंक्टन से जो प्रोड्यूसर्स हैं उनका नंबर जनरली प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर्स से ज़्यादा होगा. प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर्स का नंबर सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर्स से ज़्यादा होगा. टर्शरी कंज्यूमर्स का नंबर जो है वो सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर से कम होगा. सो प्रोड्यूसर्स दे विल बी मोर इन नंबर, देन प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर्स, देन सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर्स एंड देन टर्शरी कंज्यूमर्स. The length and the complexity of the food vary greatly. अभी हमने देखा है, we've discussed 2-3 examples that हर एक में food chain के number में variation है. कहीं 3 trophic levels हैं, कहीं 5 हैं. So generally there could be 4 to 5 trophic levels. Okay, and each organism is generally eaten by 2 or more than other kinds of organism. एक पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म को ज़रूरी नहीं कि एक ही ऑर्गेनिज्म खाता है, वो एक से ज़्यादा भी उसे खाते हैं. जैसे सपोज करिए प्लांट्स. प्लांट्स इज नॉट ओनली ईटन बाय द डियर, प्लांट इज ईटन बाय द काउ ऑल्सो, गोट ऑल्सो, isn't it everyone? And many others. Same way, deer is not only eaten by the tiger, it is eaten by lion also or other carnivores. Cow is also being eaten by other carnivores. Goat can also be eaten. So every food chain is interconnected with different food chains. जो आपकी single food chain है वो कई food chain से मिलकर बनी है. So several food chains they combine to form a food web. आपकी कई सारी food chains इकट्ठी मिलकर food web बनाती हैं. Let's look at that. So this is your food web. Okay. So every organism is related with other organism in the form of a food web. If one organism dies, it will put a great impact on the food web. ठीक है? So food web means it is defined as interconnected food chains. And in this, any organism is eaten by several other organisms. एक ऑर्गेनिज्म सिर्फ एक का खाना नहीं होता, बहुत सारे अदर ऑर्गेनिजम्स का खाना होता है वो. सो अगर एक ऑर्गेनिज्म डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाता है, एक्सटिंक्ट हो जाता है, सो होल इकोसिस्टम विल बी डिस्टर्ब्ड. सो नंबर ऑफ फूड चेन्स दे कंबाइन टू फॉर्म अ food web. Now coming to the 10% law. Dear students, it's a very, very important law, and generally questions on this particular law is being asked in the exam. Now this law says that energy that gets transferred at each trophic level is only 10% of the energy available at the previous level. चलिए इसे हम एक एग्जाम्पल के फॉर्म में ले लेते हैं. सपोज द एग्जाम्पल इज गिवन हियर. ग्रास इज ईटन बाय द डियर एंड डियर इज ईटन बाय द लॉइन. ये हमारा एक एग्जाम्पल है यहाँ पर. ठीक है, इसको हम लिख लेते हैं ग्रास, डियर, लॉइन. दिस इज आवर एग्जाम्पल. ओके एवरीवन, दिस इज द एग्जाम्पल. नाउ सपोज करिए ग्रास के पास जो है, ग्रास हैव 10 joules of energy. How much energy is available? The SI unit of energy is joules. So suppose करिए sun है, there was sun here. Now because of sun is providing you sunlight. So plants will prepare their food with the help of sunlight. Okay. So these plants, they have made an energy that is approximately equal to 10 joules of energy. Right? They have produced 10 joules of energy. Because 990 joules of energy will be lost to the environment. Okay, 990 joules will be lost to the environment. So 10 joules of energy will be available to the plants. चलिए, now suppose करिए deer अगर plant को खाता है. Okay, so deer will eat the plants. So 10% energy will be available, means 10 multiplied with 10%, 10 upon 100. So 1 joule of energy will be available for the deer. डियर को जो है ग्रास खाने से सिर्फ 1 जूल एनर्जी मिलेगी. अब दिस डियर इज बीइंग ईटन बाय अ लॉइन. सो लॉइन को कितनी एनर्जी मिलेगी? आपके डियर को 1 जूल एनर्जी मिली है, तो 1 जूल का 10% निकालिए, 10 अपॉन 100. सो 0.1 जूल. सो टाइगर विल गेट 1 जूल ऑफ एनर्जी. If this tiger eats the deer, 0.1 joule of energy will be available to the tiger. So 10% law ये कहता है कि जब एक ऑर्गेनिज्म दूसरे ऑर्गेनिज्म को खाता है तो उसके खाने से उसे सिर्फ 10% एनर्जी मिलती है. ठीक है, इसको हम सिंप्लीफाई करते हैं. तो हमारे पास ग्रास है, ग्रास को खाया डियर ने, डियर को खाया टाइगर ने. सो ग्रास के पास 10 जूल्स ऑफ एनर्जी है. सो डियर के पास 1 जूल ऑफ एनर्जी होगी और टाइगर के पास 0.1 जूल ऑफ एनर्जी होगी. सो एज वी आर मूविंग इन दिस डायरेक्शन, द एनर्जी इज डिक्रीजिंग. देखिए ग्रास के पास सबसे ज़्यादा एनर्जी थी, डियर के पास उससे कम और टाइगर के पास उससे कम. सो जैसे जैसे नंबर ऑफ ट्रॉफिक लेवल्स इंक्रीज होते हैं वैसे वैसे एनर्जी डिक्रीज होती है. सो जितने ज़्यादा ट्रॉफिक लेवल्स होंगे उतनी एनर्जी कम होगी. ओके, उतनी एनर्जी कम होगी. जो लास्ट मेंबर होगा उतनी उसे कम एनर्जी मिलेगी. सो लेट्स रिवाइज इट. द ग्रीन प्लांट्स इन द टेरेस्ट्रियल इकोसिस्टम दे कैप्चर द 1% ऑफ द सनलाइट. जो प्लांट्स हैं हमारे वो 1% सनलाइट को ट्रैप करते हैं जितना भी उनके लीव्स पर गिरती है, एंड दैट 1% इट्स कन्वर्टेड इनटू फूड. So just imagine the entire plants which are present on the earth, they can only capture 1% of the sunlight. जितने भी plants हमारे अर्थ पर मौजूद हैं वो सिर्फ 1% एनर्जी को कैप्चर करते हैं. 99% of the energy it returns back into the universe. Now from this 1%, now these green plants, they will capture this 1% of energy and prepare their food. Now these green plants, they are eaten by the primary consumers. जो green plants हैं उनको कौन खाता है? Herbivores. Herbivores को हम क्या कहते हैं? Primary consumers. So 90% of the energy will be lost as a heat to the environment. तो वो जब plants को खाएंगे तो जितनी भी एनर्जी उन प्लांट्स में अवेलेबल है उसमें 90% एनर्जी जो है एनवायरनमेंट में चली जाएगी, लॉस्ट हो जाएगी. ओनली 10% ऑफ द एनर्जी, okay, only 10% of the food eaten is turned into its own body and made available to the next level of consumers. सिर्फ 10% एनर्जी ही नेक्स्ट ट्रॉफिक लेवल को अवेलेबल होगी. So therefore we can say that 10% can be taken as the average value for the amount of organic matter that is present at each trophic level and reaches the next trophic level. तो हम ऐसा कह सकते हैं कि एक ट्रॉफिक लेवल से दूसरे ट्रॉफिक लेवल को सिर्फ 10% एनर्जी ही पास होती है, 90% एनर्जी उसी लेवल पर यूटिलाइज हो जाती है. एंड सिंस वी कैन से देयर इज सो लिटिल अमाउंट ऑफ एनर्जी विच इज़ अवेलेबल फॉर द नेक्स्ट लेवल, सो बहुत कम एनर्जी मिलती है नेक्स्ट ट्रॉफिक लेवल को. इसलिए एक फूड चेन में सिर्फ 3 या 4 ही स्टेप होने चाहिए. देयर शुड बी ओनली 3 to 4 स्टेप्स इन अ फूड चेन, राइट? Because the loss of energy is so great that with every step the amount of energy lost to the environment is more and the amount of energy available to the organism is very less. So अगर किसी food chain में ज़्यादा members हैं तो last member को बहुत कम energy मिलेगी as per the 10% law. Okay dear students? As per the 10% law, only 10% of the energy will be available. चलिए एक एग्जाम्पल कर लेते हैं, राइट? लेट्स लुक अप एट द एग्जाम्पल. चलिए, सनलाइट को कैप्चर किया प्लांट्स ने, हम यहाँ लिख लेते हैं. सो सनलाइट इज बीइंग कैप्चर्ड बाय द प्लांट्स. नाउ द प्लांट्स दे आर ईटन बाय द डियर. Deer is eaten by the lion. Okay, and when the lion dies, it will be decomposed by the decomposers. Chali, we'll take this example. Okay, so sunlight. Let's suppose plants के पास 1000 joules of energy है. So who can tell me कि deer को कितनी energy मिलेगी? बताइए, deer के पास कितनी energy available होगी? Apply 10% law. 10% law means हमें इसका 10% निकालना है. So herbivores को इसका 10% मिलेगा. So 1000 multiplied with 10%. Okay. So herbivores को कितनी एनर्जी मिलेगी? 100 joules. ठीक है. अब कार्निवोर्स को देखिए, कार्निवोर्स के पास कितनी एनर्जी आएगी? अब आप 100% का 10% करिए. सो 100 into 10%. So there is only 10 joules which will be available to the carnivores. And the top carnivores को कितना मिलेगा? So again now 10 joules का आप 10% निकालिए. So there is only 1 joule of energy which will be available. So आप देख सकते हैं plants के पास 1000 joules of energy थी, herbivores के पास 100 joule of energy है. There you have 10 joules of energy and then you have only 1 joule of energy. So जैसे जैसे ट्रॉफिक लेवल बढ़ते जाते हैं एनर्जी डिक्रीज करती जाती है और 10% लॉ के हिसाब से द लास्ट मेंबर विल हैव द लीस्ट अमाउंट ऑफ एनर्जी अवेलेबल. So coming to your homework for today, dear students, first of all you make notes of this topic and you have to read the page numbers 259 and 260. And if there is any doubt, dear students, you must send your queries on my personal number. Okay everyone? So that's all for today. Bye everyone.